Namah Shri Yatirajaya.
Om Namah Shri Yatirajaya.
Vivekananda Suraye.
Vivekananda Suraye.
Satchit Sukha Swarupaya.
Satchit Sukha Swarupaya.
Swamine Tapaharine.
Swamine Tapaharine.
So, where did we leave Naren yesterday? He had heard of Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa in the class of Principal Hasty. And sometime in the beginning of October 1881, he received an invitation from a person living in the same street, Gauramohan Mukherjee Lane, diagonally opposite his home, Surendranath Mitra, to come over to his house and to entertain Sri Ramakrishna with some singing, bhajans. I think this is what I was mentioning. Naren says, I got up the way I was dressed. Didn't want to change my dress. Didn't even comb his hair. He walked across and entered the parlor. And right in front of him he saw Sri Ramakrishna sitting. So he did Namaste, and Thakur called him and asked him to sit in front of him. Naren sat there for some time. There was some conversation going on. When Thakur told him, I am informed that you know how to sing. Why don't you sing a bhajan for me? Naren said, I am sorry, I don't know any bhajan, but I know some songs of Brahmo Samaj. Have you heard of Brahmo Samaj?
Yes.
Started in 1828 in Kolkata by Raja Ram Mohan Roy. This was for the benefit of educated Hindus who wanted to get rid of all the superstitious practices. You know, there were two movements at the time. One in the east in Bengal, Brahmo Samaj. The other was in the west, Dayanand Saraswati's Arya Samaj. Sri Ramakrishna had met Dayanand Saraswati already. He was aware of the Arya Samaj. And this was Brahmo Samaj. As soon as Arya Samaj, rather Brahmo Samaj was established, lots of young people became members. Raja Ram Mohan Roy was the head. Within a few years, around 1835, he passed away. His successor was Devendranath Thakur. Have you heard of his name? Devendranath Thakur. Maybe you have heard of his illustrious son, Rabindranath Tagore. Don't tell me you don't know him. I hope you know him. The first Indian to get the Nobel Prize. He got it for literature, for his book Gitanjali. It is hard to believe Rabindranath Tagore was 1 year older than Narendranath Datta. But it appears as if Narendra belonged to a prehistoric age. Rabindranath Tagore belongs to our modern age. If you don't know the dates, you will lose perspective. Last year we celebrated the 150th birth anniversary of Swamiji. The year before that was the 150th birth anniversary of Rabindranath Tagore. Nobody heard of that. Least of all the Government of India. The Government of India, which fell over backwards to observe the 150th birth anniversary of Swami Vivekananda, did nothing about Rabindranath Tagore. Why? Because the personality of Swami Vivekananda was so huge that it drowned every other personality. So Devendranath Tagore became the head. Unfortunately, under Devendranath Tagore, Brahmo Samaj split into two. Brahmo Samaj did not encourage worship of images. It did not encourage any superstitions. And it also wanted to revive the Upanishadic literature. This was done by Devendranath Tagore. But with the splitting, Devendranath Tagore became the head of one wing and Shivananda Shastri took over as the head of another wing. Sadharana Brahmo Samaj. Devendranath Tagore retired and he went away to he went away to Kolkata to live on a houseboat on the river Ganga, Hooghly. So in his place, there came a very charismatic young person, Keshav Chandra Sen. Keshav Chandra Sen was the greatest English orator of his time in India. He attracted a large number of young Bengali youth. And one of the persons who got attracted was Narendranath Datta. Why did Naren join Keshav Chandra Sen? I told you already, he had studied a lot of books. Because of the study of lots of books, his mind had got highly confused. He didn't know whether God existed or not. He went on asking people all around, have you seen God? Have you seen God? And he somehow felt Keshav Chandra Sen, that charismatic personality, may have the answer. So he joined the Brahmo Samaj of Devendranath Tagore. The interesting thing was, many of the other disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, young people, also joined the same Brahmo Samaj. Naren knew at least half a dozen of them before all of them bodily shifted from Brahmo Samaj to Sri Ramakrishna in Dakshineshwar. I will tell you more about some of these young people later. Naren was chosen by Keshav Chandra Sen as the lead singer because of his very good voice. So he had learned a lot of songs. Now when Sri Ramakrishna asked him to sing a song, he sang a Brahmo Samaj song. Sri Ramakrishna said, no problem, it need not be a bhajan about Kali. So Naren sang a very famous Bengali song. Mono cholo, nija niketone. Oh my mind, go back to your own home. Why have you come to this miserable world by mistake? Even now it is not too late. Go back. This world is full of 6 enemies. Ari Shat Varga. What are the 6 enemies of human beings? Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. Kama is desire, Krodha is anger, Moha delusion, then Lobha is greed, Mada arrogance, Matsarya jealousy. Shankaracharya says in one of his books, even one of them is enough to destroy a human being. When all the 6 come together and attack the human being, there is nothing to help the human being. So this world is full of that. Go back. There is a composition by Purandara Dasa on the same lines in Kannada. Some of you are Kannadigas. Allide ninna mane, illigeke bande summane. Almost as if it is a translation. Your home is there. Why did you come here unnecessarily? You know, there is a movie with that title, Allide ninna mane, illigeke bande summane. All philosophers have said this. And when Naren was singing that song, he went on looking at Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna's eyes gradually started closing. The body became rigid, and Naren saw for the first time in his life what is meant by trance. Samadhi. This is what Principal Hasty had said. You go to Dakshineshwar, Sri Ramakrishna goes into Samadhi at the drop of a hat. At the end of the day, Thakur told him, Abaresho, come again. This was the typical statement made by Thakur to anybody who came to him. Abaresho, please come again. Naren said, I will try. Later somebody asked him, why did you say I will try? Why did you not say I will come? Naren's reply was, see, I was not sure whether I will be able to come or not. Suppose I say yes and I don't come, I would have told a lie. And Brahma Samaj says, never tell a lie. I had spoke to that. So, I hit the bets and said I will try. Naren had no intention of going to Dakshineshwar to meet Sri Ramakrishna. He went back home, resumed his studies. This was the beginning of October. In those days, Kolkata University exams used to be held in the month of February, end of January, beginning of February. So Naren became very busy with his examinations. Part of the time he spent at his own home, part of the time in the grandmother's residence. I have shown you that picture already. Towards the end of October, something funny started happening in the family. Whenever Naren came back home, he would find his father and mother talking to each other, and the moment Naren would walk in, they would become silent and go on looking at him. Day in and day out it happened. Naren got a little curious. He asked his mother, Mother, whenever I return home, why is it you and father stop talking to each other and both of you go on staring at me? Don't tell me you are planning my marriage. She said, yes, that is precisely what we are doing. You are getting on to 19 years. It is high time you got married. Naren's reply, how many times should I tell you that I have no intention of getting married? I want to remain a celibate. Bhuvaneshwari's heart sank. You remember her father-in-law? After the birth of one child, he had abandoned home, become a sannyasi. And when Naren was born, all the elderly ladies had told Bhuvaneshwari Devi, your son is a spit image of his grandfather. And it was at the back of her mind all the time that he may also abandon home. Now he is directly saying that he doesn't want to settle down as a married person. She got annoyed. She couldn't do anything about it, so she got annoyed, angry. I don't care, go and tell your father. So Naren came to his father. Father, mother tells me that you are planning my marriage. Is it true? Father said, yes, of course, you have come of age. Not only that, the girl has already been identified. Her father is a very rich person. The girl is a little dark in color, not very fair. But her father will make up for that by sending you to England to make out of you a barrister at law, the highest position for an Indian to aspire in the legal profession, bar at law, so that he can come back and take over my responsibilities. Naren told him, Father, how many times should I tell you that I don't want to get married? I don't want to get married. Father said, I don't care, it is too late. Marriage has already been fixed. And what is wrong with marriage? I am married. My ancestors to 14 generations had married. Is something wrong with them? Sorry, my dear boy, you are the eldest son. Unless you get married, your younger brothers cannot get married. The two daughters had already been married off. They were much older. So Naren got up, fretting and fuming. Simply did not know what to do. Then he remembered Ramachandra Datta, you were asking me yesterday. A distant uncle living in the joint family. Ramachandra Datta belonged to the first batch of Kolkata University to graduate as an LMP, licentiated medical practitioner. LMPs were not allowed to go for higher studies. They could practice. He didn't want to practice because Sri Ramakrishna had told him that lawyers and doctors will never be able to realize the divine because they are always being pulled towards the body consciousness. But he had already studied medicine, so in Kolkata Medical College Hospital, he became a pathologist, the person diagnosing diseases. That was his profession. He was married, he had about 2 or 3 children. At the same time, he was a great devotee of Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. As a matter of fact, Thakur was very fond of Ramachandra Datta. Probably he realized that Ramachandra Datta has a role to play in the life of Naren. Naren came and sat in front of him. Ramdada asked him, "Hey, what is the matter with you, Naren? Your face appears to be swollen." "What else, Dada? My parents want to marry me off." He said, "So what? What is wrong in getting married? How many of you are married? You're okay? No problem. And how many of you are married? No problem. So what is wrong in getting married? I am married, I have children, not me. Ramchandra Datta. My ancestors to 14 generations got married. Why are you so fretting and fuming, Naren?" "No, Ramdada, I want to renounce the world." Ramdada replied, "Come on, you're too young to take a decision like this. Why don't you get married, have a couple of children, hand over the responsibility of the family to your children, then with your wife, become a vanaprastha. Leave home, go to an ashrama and start practicing sadhana." Naren went on vehemently saying, "No, no." Then Ramdada told him something. Yesterday I told you, events happen without our creating them. They appear to be totally disjointed. When did Naren hear the name of Sri Ramakrishna for the first time? In the class. There is a likelihood he might have heard the name of Sri Ramakrishna in the Brahmo Samaj. Keshav Chandra Sen was a great admirer of Sri Ramakrishna. And Naren had actually met Sri Ramakrishna. Now the 4th link in the chain. Ramdada told him, "Do one thing, come with me. I will take you to Dakshineshwar. You ask Sri Ramakrishna yourself what you should do. If he says get married, get married. If he says don't get married, don't get married." Incidentally, Sri Ramakrishna himself is married. He has a wife, Sharada Devi. So he will be able to give you a balanced judgment. So Naren said, "Done. Agreed." Ramdada then sent a message to Surendranath Mitra. He told Suren, "Hey Suren Dada, we are all going to Dakshineshwar with Naren. Why don't you come with us and bring your horse carriage?" There was another cousin of Ramdada, Manomohan Mitra. He told Manomohan Mitra also. He was also a devotee of Sri Ramakrishna. So one day in the month of November 1881, the date is not known, the 4 of them set off to Dakshineshwar. The historic meeting between Sri Ramakrishna and his future star disciple, Narendranath Datta. Now I have to tell you something about Sri Ramakrishna. It will not be in great detail. You have to study for yourself because the life of Swami Vivekananda itself is fairly long and elaborate. Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. This is the most popular photograph of Sri Ramakrishna. There is a story behind it, I will tell you later. This was the photo taken in the year 1884. That means approximately 2 years after Naren met him. This is a photo taken in the house of Keshav Chandra Sen when Sri Ramakrishna was in Samadhi. See the finger position of the right hand? Have you seen this anywhere? Bangaloreans? Have you been to IIScon temple? Huh? Have you seen ISKCON temple?
Yeah.
Have you seen the way Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is standing with his companion Nityananda? How are they standing? This is Krishna consciousness. When a person used to go to Samadhi, meditating on Krishna, he would assume this position. Krishna Bhavana, Krishna consciousness. The left hand, almost like a flower opening. So this is the photograph taken in the house of Keshav Chandra Sen. So this Naren had not yet seen. Because when Naren saw Sri Ramakrishna in Samadhi, in Surendranath Mitra's house, Thakur was sitting. There is a different posture altogether. This is a studio photograph. Even in this studio photograph, he went into Samadhi. So you see the finger, right hand finger position, the left hand, Krishna Bhavana. This is the famous temple of Dakshineshwar. Has any one of you been there, seen that? You must. As a matter of fact, I distinctly remember long ago we had a pranayama group meeting and program camp in Patna. 65 students from Prashanti had come with us. We were a gang of about 100. After the program was over, all the 65 boys had to catch a train from Patna to Kolkata, stay for one day there, and catch the night train, Yashwantpur Express, to come back to Bangalore. They had 1 day free. And we have our own branch in Kolkata. One of our coordinators, he told us, I will take these students to Kolkata and bring them safely to Bangalore. They went round the whole day around Dakshineshwar and Belur Math. Came back. That was the end of October, or rather November or so. No, October. The next YIC was in January. And when I came here to start my lecture series on the 1st of January, I used to start on the very first day. The hall was full of old students along with the new students. So I asked, they were all sitting at the back. I asked them, what is the matter with you? Why do you want to come back to this class again? Swamiji, last time you spoke, we had not seen Dakshineshwar, we had not seen Belur Math, we couldn't understand much. This time we have seen them. Now if you tell the story, we know where exactly the incidents happened. So the whole drama appears before our eyes. Better do that. You don't have to come back and join YAC again and listen to my talks, but at least if you remember these talks, you may be able to relate all these things to that. It's a remarkable experience. Constructed by Rani Rashmani, a very rich fisher woman. This is the temple garden of Dakshineshwar from the river Ganga, opposite. There are 6 Shiva temples to the left, 6 Shiva temples to the right. In between there is what is called a Chandani, a portico. You climb up the steps, pass through the portico, you come to a quadrangle. You can see that small, low building to the left extreme. That was Sri Ramakrishna's room, that whitish patch. Sri Ramakrishna spent almost 24 or 25 years of his life in that particular room. She was the founder of the temple, Rani Rashmani. But the manager of the temple was her third son-in-law, Mathurnath Vishwas, who served Sri Ramakrishna for 16 years. 1855 to 1871, he looked after the needs of Sri Ramakrishna. Sharda Devi. We don't say wife, the consort. They never led the conventional family life. They lived like brother and sister. Sharda Devi's mother had one grouse against Sri Ramakrishna. She used to complain. Once she complained about it right in the presence of Ramakrishna. If only my Sharada had a child to call her own, at least one person would have called her mother. Hearing that, Sri Ramakrishna said, one day so many people will call your daughter mother, mother, her ears will be bored, pierced. And today, Shima. For every devotee of Sri Ramakrishna, she is the incarnation of Kali, she is the mother. Nahabat. You know what a Nahabat is? Nagada. You know, in the temples in the good old days, there used to be huge drums. And early morning at puja time, evening at worship time, somebody would go on beating the drums. Today, of course, the whole thing has been mechanized. You switch on and it goes on drumming until you stop it. That is called Naubat or Nahabat. Anybody here who has seen the Mysore Palace? You remember on top of the Mysore Palace, there is a spire, golden spire. You can see windows. That is the Nahabat. The drums were kept there. There were Shahnai players. And early morning 4:30, they would start playing Shahnai to the accompaniment of the drums. And my house was not too far away. I used to be woken up at 4:30 in the morning to the sounds of the Shahnai and the drums. That is in Nahabat. And evening 6 o'clock also. Normally 4:30 in the morning when the palace flag used to be raised, 6 or 6:30 in the evening when the flag would be lowered. So that is the arrangement made. There were two Nahabats, one on either side. Sharda Devi lived in this Nahabat, which was very close to Sri Ramakrishna's room. Initial stages, when the mother of Sri Ramakrishna was alive, she stayed ground floor. Sharda Devi stayed upstairs. But after the Mahasamadhi of his mother, she came downstairs, and that became the center for all the women devotees of Sri Ramakrishna to gather around Sharda Devi. Radha Kanta. There are two temples in the courtyard. One temple is Radha Kanta, Radha Krishna. Sri Ramakrishna started his career as a priest, first as the priest of Radha Kanta for 1 year. Then he became the priest of Kali. His elder brother was earlier doing the job. When his elder brother died, Sri Ramakrishna took over. So this is Ma Kali, Mother Kali of Dakshineshwar. I'll show you closer-ups. But I need to tell you about an experience which happened to me and my wife. 1893 was the year of the Parliament of Religions in Chicago. Its centenary was celebrated in Kolkata between September 1993 to September 1994. In September 1994, there was the concluding session. Huge affair. Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose football stadium was hired. 35,000 capacity. The whole stadium was full. Even the football field was covered with chairs. Several people were invited to speak, and I was one of them. So I went there, participated in that, spoke on that occasion also. The whole program had been organized by Swami Lokeshwarananda, the secretary of the Sri Ramakrishna Mission Institute of Culture in Gol Park in Kolkata. This is where I miss my Bengalis. Because if I tell them all these things, they will be able to relate themselves to all these places. Gol Park in Kolkata. At the end of the day, Swami Lokeshwaranji called me and told me, in the month of December, on the 23rd, we have a memorial lecture series, Surendra Pal Memorial Lecture. Can you be the speaker this winter? I asked him, what subject? You choose the subject. So I said, okay. Swamiji was very fond of science. Can I speak on science and spirituality? He certainly said yes. Go ahead. I prepared the talk, and my wife and I came there on the 22nd of December. We were accommodated in the guest house. 23rd morning, Lokeshwaranji told me, your talk is in the evening. Is there any place you want to see? We said, we want to go to Dakshineshwar, we want to go to Bengaluru. So he arranged for a car, a driver and a guide. We had breakfast in the morning and left for straight away towards Dakshineshwar. I had completely forgotten that it was a Tuesday. You know what Tuesday is? The sacred day for Kali. And the temple was full of people like the Tirupati temple. There were 4 queues to come near the sanctum sanctorum and to have the darshan of Kali, the site of Kali. We went inside and we were standing there when I told our guide, forget about it. Let us go to Bengaluru. The registrar of the university is waiting for me. Let us go and at least meet him. He said, just wait, sir. In 2 minutes, a priest came from behind this temple, came straight to us. We were standing there. And he asked our guide, have you been sent by Swami Lokeshwaranji Maharaj? We said, yes. Please come with me. So he took the 3 of us to the back of this temple. He told the guide to stay outside. He took me and my wife into the sanctum sanctorum. And you see that water pot? Just in front of that there is a space. He told us there is not much space, you will have to stand. We said, no problem. We stood there. He asked us, are you initiated into the Ramakrishna order? We said, yes. Then you have to do japa. 10 minutes long, both of us did japa. At the end of that, we got prasad, tirtha, as well as some fruit. Before we left that place, the priest stopped us and told us, Madam, Sir, before you leave, please remember the spot where the 2 of you were standing was the place where Sri Ramakrishna used to sit to worship Kali. If we had known earlier, we would never have stood there. And my wife even now says, when I remember it, I get a thrill through my body. What an experience. That place was reserved, or sanctum sanctorum is reserved only for the sannyasis and brahmacharis of the Ramakrishna order. There was an exception made in our case. Because Swami Lokeshwarananda felt, I may not be a sannyasi or a brahmachari, but I am no way inferior to any one of them because of our dedication to Sri Ramakrishna and Sharda Devi. This lecture series was called Surendra Pal Memorial Lecture. Anybody here from Assam? Surendra Pal was the owner of a tea estate in Assam. There was some problem with the Alpha, the Ultras in Assam, who got him murdered. He has a very influential elder brother in London. I don't know how many of you have heard of him. Swaraj Pal. Have you heard of Swaraj Pal? He was a very big industrialist in England, and he was made Lord Swaraj Pal, a member of the House of Lords. He is still alive. So in honor, as memory of his younger brother, Swaraj Pal, Swaraj Pal gave a donation to Ramakrishna Mission and requested them to have a memorial lecture every December, every year. So I was the speaker for 1994. By the time I returned to Madras, my name in the Ramakrishna Mission circles had shot up into prominence. Even today, some of those old sannyasis call me, "Oh, Surendra Pal Memorial Speaker." Surendra Pal Memorial Speaker. That is the way they actually judge people. All those lectures have been combined together in the form of a book. It is available in the Ramakrishna order. As a matter of fact, those of our students who take a course in science and consciousness, I recommend to them to read my lecture. It gives the sum and substance of the entire course, science and consciousness. So this was a remarkable experience for me and my wife. Close up. This picture is more popular. It is a cover page of a large number of books on Dakshineshwar. What do you find here? Kali, with the eyes wide open, bright eyes, and nose ring, typical Bengali nose ring, tongue protruding out. You remember the story of Durga Saptashati? When Rakta Bija is killed, every drop of blood from his body falling on the ground would create another Rakta Bija. So Durga takes the form of Kali, stretches out her tongue, sucks away all the blood. So what did Rakta Bija die of? What? The disease when you lose a lot of your blood. Anemia. She sucks all the blood out of his body. That is why her tongue is protruding, her tongue is red. Below you notice some dark object. That is the head of Shiva. Shiva is lying prostrate on the ground and Kali is standing over him. There is an esoteric meaning. Shiva represents Brahman, the supreme. What does Kali represent? His power, Shakti. And this Shakti does creation, taking all the energy from Shiva or Brahman. There is a symbolic way of looking at it. She has got 4 hands. There are 2 hands on the right, 2 hands on the left. One hand to the right raised. What does this gesture mean? Abhaya, protection. The other hand, like this. What does it mean? Varada, giving us boons and gifts. What do you see on the left side? The left right hand has a sword, and the left lower hand has a severed human head. This is life. Isn't it? In life, you have to take the good with the bad. The two always come together. Is it not so? Try to eat only sweets from morning till night and see what happens to you. Only sweets. Go to Bangalore? No, you can't. When you go to Bangalore now, after the course, you purchase sweets, eat only sweets from morning till night. By night, you will be vomiting. So how do you prevent that vomiting? Eat something savory. You know, the common statement used to be made, when people used to go to hotels in Mysore, Kannadigas will understand. Sweet kara coffee. What do you order? A sweet. Along with that, a savory. And to top it all off, coffee. Mysoreans cannot live without coffee. Bangaloreans also. Oh, just as North Indians cannot live without chai. Keralites. Where are the Keralites? Chaya. Shuddha, chaya. They can't live without chaya. These are all our habits. But they eat sweets and at the same time avial. The two have to be taken together. Otherwise, what is the fun in life? Kali represents life. Look at the sword in her hand and look at the eyes. Beautiful image made of stone, basalt. This was the divine mother of Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna's room, where he stayed for approximately 24 or 25 years. You see two cots, a lower cot and a higher cot. There is a bedding on the higher cot. That was the bed on which Sri Ramakrishna used to sleep. And the lower cot was the one on which he used to sit and talk to people. Behind this wall is the river Ganga. That is the western direction. He would always sit facing the east, and his disciples would be sitting all around him. There are 3 doors to this room. You can see to the right bottom sunlight streaming in. That is a door. Diagonally opposite, there is a door which takes you to the quadrangle. And directly opposite this door, to the left bottom, there is a 3rd door which takes you to the corridor leading you out of the temple. Did you get the picture? 1 door here, 1 door left bottom, and another door diagonally opposite. Whenever Sri Ramakrishna had to go to Kolkata, he would use the door left bottom to go out of the temple. Whenever he had to go to the Kali's temple, he would take that door at the back which would lead to the quadrangle. Whenever he had to go to the river Ganga, he would come out by this door and go to Ganga. And it was on that fateful day that Naren, along with Ramachandra Datta, Manomohan Mitra and Surendranath Mitra came to Dakshineshwar. They came by the door from the river side and they entered the door. The room was full of people, devotees. Manomohan, Ramchandra and Surendra were old devotees of Thakur. So they went and sat right in front. Naren had come there for the first time. He sat near the door. Right? This is the setting. Now for the time being, we have to leave this setting. Remember this particular setting on the stage. This is the stage on which the drama occurred. It was almost like a drama. If I explain to you, you will understand. Now the question, who was Sri Ramakrishna? He was born in a small village in Bengal called Kamarpukur. You know, every Bengali home has a small pond in front or at the back. Pukur, Pushkara. There was a big tank in that town village, Kamarpukur. What is Kamar? Kammar, blacksmiths. It was called the blacksmiths village. So it is a blacksmith's pond. There was a common pond for the whole village. His father's name was Kshudi Ram Chattopadhyay. But Bengalis normally pronounce Ksha as Kha. So the name was pronounced as Khudi Ram. Mother's name was Chandra Mani Devi. God-fearing people, extraordinary people. The people who used to have visions. As a matter of fact, both of them knew about the birth of the baby. Everything happened the way it was revealed to them in the visions. So they knew that the child which is going to be born is not an ordinary child. They had 5 children. Eldest Ramakumar, who later became the priest of Kali, who was succeeded by Sri Ramakrishna. The second one was a girl, Katyayani, who got married off in a neighboring village and settled down there. The third one was Rameshwar, who also later came to Dakshineshwar. He also became a priest. The fourth one was Ramakrishna. But the name given to the child when it was born was Gadadhar. There was a feeling that the child is a gift from Gadadhar of Gaya. And the last one was a girl, Sarva Mangala. Actually, she hardly comes into the story. She disappears from the story. She never makes an appearance in Sri Ramakrishna's story or Swami Vivekananda's story. This was the family. God-fearing family. And the age difference between Ram Kumar, the eldest brother, and Gadadhar, the youngest brother, was 20 years. With that age difference, the relation between them was more that of a father and son than an elder brother and a younger brother. Gadadhar used to have visions. At the age of 6, he had the first experience of Samadhi. He was walking in the fields one afternoon. The fields are always bordered by bunds, that kind of thing on which you walk. He was walking over them when he saw in the sky at a distance a black patch of cloud. As he went on observing, the cloud became bigger and bigger and bigger until the whole sky was covered by that. Whole sky became very dark, and even at 5 in the afternoon, it became very dark. Just then he saw a flock of white cranes flying against the background of the dark clouds. The contrast was fantastic. Black and white contrast. You remember I told you about the Lake District? How by seeing the beauty of the Lake District, the young man who had lost his beloved goes into trance. Sensitive natures, by looking at the contrast in nature, they go into trance. They get lost. Same thing happened to the child Gadai, who was just 6 years. He fell down unconscious. Some people saw him, brought him home. He did not regain consciousness till next morning, when he told his mother and father, "I was in such a blissful state." That is the difference between samadhi and schizophrenia. Even people with schizophrenia have visions. They see all kinds of things, but you see terror on their face. And their face is always wrinkled. But in the case of samadhi, the face is always relaxed and there is a wonderful smile on the face. Second time he had that experience was in the village when Shivaratri had come around. The villagers had invited a group from Kolkata to stage a drama on Shiva throughout the night. Why on Shivaratri night you are supposed to keep awake? It is coming end of the month. So better be prepared. When is Shivaratri?
27th.
27th? You will be here on 27th.
Yes.
28th you are supposed to leave. So 27th you better fast and do vigil. if you are interested.
Yes.
It is up to you people. So in order to spend the night in the company of Shiva, the dramatic troupe had been invited. At the last moment, the young man who was supposed to play the role of Shiva fell sick. He couldn't come on the stage. The play had to be cancelled. The villagers did not like it. Then the manager said, all right, identify one of your people who can play the role of Shiva. All he has to do is to dress like Shiva, come and stand on the stage. I will take care of the rest, dialogue and other things. Whom to call? The boys of the village immediately rushed to Godai's place. Hey Godai, come. You have to play the role of Shiva. By that time, Godai had already gone through Upanayana, thread ceremony. He said, no, I have to worship Puja, Shiva. Come on, if you dress like Shiva, stand on the stage, it is like worshipping Shiva, isn't it? Come along. So they brought him there, dressed him like Shiva, brought him onto the stage, and then the play started. Shiva did not move. He stood rigid on the stage. Tears started flowing through his eyes. There was a big hubbub shouting, something has happened to the boy. Kale Chanda, Kale Tantrik. People are terribly scared. Finally, they had to carry him bodily to his small hut. He did not regain consciousness till the next morning when he said, what a blissful state of existence I was in. This naturally worried the parents. His father was no more by the time. It worried the mother, but he assured his mother, nothing is wrong with me. The family circumstances became worse. Financially, they were in trouble. Ram Kumar used to send money from Kolkata because he was running a Sanskrit school. But he wanted an assistant. So one year, 1852, he came home from Kolkata and told the mother, I am taking Godai with me to Kolkata to be my assistant in this school. So Godai left his village in the year 1852. He never settled down in his village. He used to pay visits to the village occasionally. But from 1852 onwards, Kolkata became his home. 1855, Rani Rashmani got the temple constructed. And Ram Kumar was appointed as the priest of Kali. So Ram Kumar took Godai with him to the temple for the inauguration, and Mathurnath Bishwas had a look at the boy and cajoled Ram Kumar to see that he settles down in Dakshineshwar temple. He was given the job to assist his elder brother. Later he became the priest of Radha Kanta. 1856, his elder brother passed away. Now, Godai, his name was now Ramakrishna, he became the priest of Kali. And in no time, he became the mad priest of Kali. Why did people call him mad priest of Kali? Next episode.
He used
Tomorrow
to
I'll tell
speak
you.
to Kali.
Huh?
He used to talk to, converse with.
Not only talk to Kali, he would take a little bit of food in his hand, try to thrust it in Kali's mouth, the stone statue, and would tell her, Ma, you want me to eat first? I am your child, no? Okay, I will eat first. Then you eat. If a priest does it in a temple, what are you going to do to the priest? Boot him out. Isn't it? He literally went mad. He wanted to have the darshan. One day he told Kali, Ma, you are a fraud. You don't exist. Everybody who has said he has seen you has told a lie. If you don't exist, what is the point in living? He saw the sword of Kali. I showed you the picture. Sword of Kali. He took it, was about to cut his head off, when the whole image, he says, exploded in a bright light. The bright light came and engulfed him, and Ramakrishna fell down unconscious. He regained consciousness after several hours, and then only one word was coming from his mouth. Ma, 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 Kali possessed. That is when he became, from the priest of Kali, the child of Kali. From that day he established a mother-son relationship, and thus his sadhana started. So tomorrow I will tell you various sadhanas which he did, which cannot be accomplished in one lifetime unless the practitioner is an incarnation of the divine, avatara. Tomorrow. So we close with the prayer. Harihi Om Tat Sat.
Hari Om Tat Sat.
Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.
Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.